a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Once on This Island. Once on This Island is a one-act musical with a book and lyrics by Lynn Ahrens and music by Stephen Flaherty. Based on the 1985 novel My Love, or The Peasant Girl by Rosa Guy, it is set in the French Antilles archipelago in the Caribbean Sea. The show includes elements of the Romeo and Juliet story and elements of the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale The Little Mermaid. It concerns a peasant girl on a tropical island, who uses the power of love to bring together people of different social classes. The original Broadway production ran from 1990 to 1991, and the West End production opened in 1994, where it won the 1995 Olivier Award for Best New Musical. The musical is currently being revived on Broadway in a production that opened on December 3, 2017 after being in previews since November 9, 2017 at the Circle in the Square Theatre. Production history. Once on This Island was originally staged at Off-Broadway's Playwrights Horizons, running from May 6, 1990 through May 27, 1990. The Broadway production opened on October 18, 1990 at the Booth Theatre and closed on December 1, 1991, after 469 performances and 19 previews. With direction and choreography by Graciela Daniele, the musical featured La Chance as Timona, Jerry Dixon as Daniel, Andrea Frierson as Ezuli, Sheila Gibbs as Mama Urali, Keisha Lewis as Asaka, Jerry McIntyre as Armand, Milton Craig Neely as Ag, Eric Riley as Papa Ge, L.S.E. Williams as Tonton Julian and A.F.I. McClendon as Little Timona. In 2002, the original Broadway cast was reunited with special guest Lillias White to perform the show for Broadway Cares/Equity Fights AIDS and the Cantor Fitzgerald Relief Fund. The European premiere took place in 1994, hosted by the Birmingham Rep, and then transferred to the West End Royalty Theatre in September 1994. The production won the Olivier Award for Best New Musical. The musical was revived in the UK in 2009 at Birmingham Rep, Nottingham Playhouse, and the Hackney Empire Theatre in London. Susie McKenna directed, with Sharon D. Clarke reprising her 1994 role as Asaka. In June 2012, the Paper Mill Playhouse presented a production directed by Thomas Gale, Saisha Mercado as Timona and Duras Tahas as Agua. The first Broadway revival of Once on This Island, planned by producer Ken Davenport and directed by Michael Arden, began previews on November 9, 2017 and officially opened on December 3 at the Circle in the Square Theatre. The choreographer is Camille Brown. The cast includes Hayley Kilgore as Timona, Isaac Powell as Daniel, Alicia DeSlorio as Andrea, Philip Boykin as Tonton Julian, Kenita R. Miller as Mama Urali, Alex Newell as Asaka, Merle Dandridge as Papa Ge, Quentin Earl Darrington as Ag, Lisa Longer as Ezuli, and David Jennings as Armand. Synopsis. One stormy night in the Antilles archipelago, thunder booms, making a small girl cry in fear. To comfort her, the village storytellers tell her the story of Timona, a peasant girl who falls in love with a grand dame, Daniel Bohom. A story of life, pain, love, grief, faith, and hope. In this story, 4 gods rule an island known as the Jewel of the Antilles where poor peasants worship them. The peasants, black as night, live on one side of the island, and the grands hommes, lighter-skinned descendants of the original French planters, and their slaves, live on the other. One day, Agua unleashes a terrible storm upon the island, which in turn causes a disastrous flood, wiping out many villages. However, the gods save the life of a little orphan named Timona by placing her in a tree above the flood's waves. She is found and subsequently adopted by the peasants Mama Urali and Tonton Julian. Years afterwards, a grown-up Timona prays to the gods to let her know her purpose, and to let her be like the fast-driving strangers on the roads near her village, the grands hommes. Hearing her plea, the gods laugh at her. However, Ezuli says to give her love, because it is stronger than any of the other elements. Offended, Papa Ge proposes a bet to prove which is stronger, love or death. Agua arranges for the car of Daniel Bohom, a young grand dame, to crash during a storm so that Timona may meet Daniel and restore him to health. Despite the objections of the other peasants including her own parents, Timona helps the intruder recover. Timona falls in love with the stranger, and as she cares for the unconscious boy, she imagines he loves her too. When Papa Ge comes to take Daniel's life, Timona offers her life in exchange for Daniel's so that he will not die. Papa Ge is angry, but leaves, hinting he will return sooner or later, as her life now belongs to him. Tonton travels to the other side of the island to seek Daniel's family at the Hotel Bohom. When Tonton returns, he brings with him the story of Daniel's people. 4 generations ago, during the Napoleonic era, a French aristocrat named Armand colonized the island. Although Armand had a wife, he had affairs with several natives, one of which bore him a son, named Bohom. When Bohom grew up, war broke out between the peasant locals and the French. The peasants won the war with Bohom's help. Bohom banishes Armand back to France. But before leaving, Armand curses Bohom and his descendants, saying their black blood will keep them forever on the island, while their hearts yearn forever for France. To this day the curse causes future Bohom to alienate the peasants for reminding them of their homeland, as well as some of Daniel's people to take the boy back. Timona is tearfully separated from Daniel and tells her parents that she will go after Daniel to marry him. Timon's parents reluctantly let her go. During her travels, she encounters the goddess Asaka, who tells her not to fear, as the earth will give her everything she needs on her journey to Daniel. Timona travels across the island. The storytellers then relate the story of her difficult journey to the city through the hotel gates and finding Daniel's room. Daniel, still ill and unable to walk, does not remember her, but believes her after she describes the scar on his chest. As they stay together, Erzulie gives them the gift of love. Daniel ignores the townspeople's gossiping over the unlikely relationship of a rich Bohom and a poor peasant. Daniel delights in Timon's differences from the rich girls in his life, noting that some girls you marry, some you love. At a ball held at the hotel, Andrea Devereaux, a daughter of Daniel's family friends, cajoles Timona to dance for them. Timona does dance and gains the admiration of the rich society members. Afterwards, Timona learns that Daniel is engaged to be married to Andrea. Daniel, reminded of his responsibilities, must go through with the arranged marriage, although he insists they can be lovers forever. Timona is crushed. Papa Ge reappears and reminds Timona of her promise to exchange her life for Daniel's, but says she can revoke the bargain if she kills Daniel. Timona enters Daniel's room with a knife, but she still loves him too much to kill him, proving love is stronger than death. However, Daniel finds Timona with the knife. Appalled at the attempted murder, the Bohom throw her out of the hotel grounds. She waits for days to meet Daniel at the gate. As Daniel and Andrea are married, they follow an old tradition of throwing coins to the peasants outside the hotel gates. Timona calls to Daniel, who places a silver coin in Timon's hand and leaves. The storytellers tell how Erzulie took her by the hand and led her to the ocean, where Agua allowed her to drown peacefully. Papa Ge received her gently and brought her back to shore, where Asaka transformed her into a tree. The tree becomes a celebration of life and love that cracks open the gates of the hotel, allowing those of all social statuses to become one. Her legacy brings together another peasant girl and a new young grand homme, Daniel's son, as they play in her branches. The storytellers share with them a retelling of the story how a peasant girl proved the power of love could bring together the people of the island. It helps us to remember, to forgive, and out of what we live and we believe, our lives become the stories that we weave. As the musical ends, the little girl who was frightened by the storm begins to retell the story herself. Characters. Note: the original cast was chosen along racial lines, with darker-skinned actors portraying the peasants and lighter-skinned actors portraying the upper-class landowners. In the script, the writers provide small line changes that can be used to remove references to skin color to accommodate multi-ethnic productions, while preserving the storyline about differences between the upper and lower classes. Musical numbers. Note: this is the song list from the original Broadway production, not included on the original Broadway or revival Broadway cast recordings. Cut songs include "Come Down from the Tree" and "When Daniel Marries." "Come Down from the Tree" was a song for Mama Yoreli. It is included in several recordings, including its first recording on Bruce Kimmel's Lost in Boston CD, where it was sung by Lillias White. It was also included on Audra McDonald's How Glory Goes. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know